Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here, and of course, as the title suggests, this video is of course about the coronavirus, the current pandemic that we are actually dealing with pretty much across the globe. It's pretty crazy. I'm currently in Michigan. We have some cases here. We have one in Ypsilanti, which I'm actually fairly close to. Actually, we had a case in a place I was actually going to go to like last weekend, and my friend messaged me because we were supposed to meet there. It was like the weekend before that, someone had like an official case, and it was like, they probably cleaned the place up, but it's like, why risk it, So we went somewhere else. But yeah, we have some cases that are close, and it's been really really weird. It's very interesting. I will say that my take on the whole thing is not that of someone who thinks the virus is strictly in their butthole. So I haven't gone crazy and bought like 18 billion pounds of toilet paper. Although, fortunately, I did actually already have some for myself because that would have sucked. But I wasn't going into crazy mode like, oh my god, I can't live like it's the 1800s. It's like maybe more food. Get like one roll of it and just ration it. And if things are crazy, get in the shower. It's not that serious. Also, I didn't buy a buttload of water because I don't know. People treat everything as the same thing. Like this isn't it. Well, it's a natural disaster, but it's not like a tornado natural disaster. Power is not gonna get knocked out and then it's like what are we gonna do? It's not the same type of situation that we're dealing with. So people are freaking out and being idiots and douchebags and stuff. Like the thing that really bugs me the most is probably people buying like tons of formula, and that's just effed up. That's super messed up to do that. Because you don't need milk at all. That's the biggest thing that's been blowing my mind. People buying a bunch of milk, and you literally don't need milk for anything except for kids, and that's technically just babies, and even then it's not regular milk. That's why formula exists, because babies can't drink regular like 2% or whole milk. So it's just insane. Like, disaster macaroni and cheese is all I think. Every time I think it, I'm like, what are people doing with milk? Like, you making smoothies in the apocalypse? Like, what is milk for that you think you really need it? And milk goes bad in like 2 weeks. But like buying 7 gallons of milk, you'll never drink it. And if you do, I don't know, maybe people are smart because they realize, well, I have to get all this toilet paper because I'm so stupid that I'm going to buy 8 gallons of milk, because you will crap your pants with 8 gallons of milk. So maybe people aren't as dumb as I thought, but they're definitely being crazy. Gas is down. That's great. But anyway, the point of this video, this was, the virus is insane. It's ridiculous. As long as the sequel to this bad boy doesn't get delayed, I don't care. Resident Evil 3 is like the only thing I was living for. I'm currently living for right now. So in 3 weeks, that game needs to come out. My friend, she's waiting for Animal Crossing. That's her thing. So she's gonna flip if that things get delayed on that front. But I'm like, if a real virus takes out my Resident Evil virus, I'm gonna lose my effing mind. That's all I care about. It's like I just want to play Resident Evil 3. It's gonna be great. So speaking of that, it's getting into the actual topic of this video. I wanted to make it because things have been really weird with the virus, of course. Tons of stuff has been canceled. Stay indoors. I played video games. If you're watching this, you probably do too. So you know how that goes. It's like, this is normal. I just have to shop now because people are losing it. So I have to make sure there's actually food to eat. But yeah, it's like, stay at home. Things are getting canceled. People talk about sports. It's prime meme quality. I gotta admit, like, we are interesting as human beings. I mean, I've seen music videos made, the sports meme stuff where they just show pictures of celebrities just doing nothing and being sad. Very funny. I saw one today where it was like day 2 without sports. I found this random woman on my couch. Turns out she's my wife. Seems nice. And I thought that was a good one. I was like, that's pretty funny. And so with everything getting canceled, it eventually moved into kind of what I like, which is checking out my movies or seeing my TV shows. And then the worst news, E3 got canceled, and it's super far out, and I thought it was a little early because like I mean, this is me being hopeful, of course, but I don't think it's crazy enough that we're gonna still be having to worry about like isolation and stuff like that by June. I certainly hope not. I really hope that the April thing, because that's what everyone has, like these 3 weeks. If we just contain it in 3 weeks, April is kind of like our big cutoff and everything's good. I'm hoping that that's accurate, because it's not. I mean, it's definitely crazy, but it's not so crazy that I feel like it will just destroy everything in like 3 weeks if people aren't careful. People still aren't being 100% careful. I remember, this is the thing, being in the city, when we went to the other place that didn't have the virus, was in the bathroom. Old dude. I know he didn't wash his hands with soap because it was the classic. It's the classic thing that makes me hate all human beings. And I was like this. I've been a germaphobe, so if you aren't, then welcome to what I deal with every day. Because I'm always like, I have hand sanitizer. I have a giant thing of hand sanitizer in my car, which I've always had because I always put hand sanitizer on my hands after I pump gas because humans are gross and it's just gasoline and feces. That's basically what's out there. That's all there is in the world. So I've always been like that. But this guy, I know he didn't wash his hands. It was just like, shh, and he was gone. And I'm like, the water was cold, first off, because when I turned it on, it was freezing. You should use warm water, just in case you didn't know that part. It's supposed to be warm water. You don't use cold water with soap. And I was just like, it's like people don't think. People are just gross and dumb and all this other stuff. But once again, I don't, that always gets to me. And now we're dealing with like a literal pandemic, and it's like, even now, you're not cautious enough to just wash your hands for real. Seriously, it's insane. And he didn't do anything. He left, and I saw where he went. He went and sat down. They already ate. They did nothing. They talked, and he had to like rush out to talk. It's insane. It's ridiculous. But E3 got canceled. Thought it was a little early for that. But that's first Christmas. That's better than Christmas. That is my favorite time of year, is E3. For like those couple, basically for that whole week, because you're a little bit before technical E3, and then the rest of the week. That's like my 7 days of true journalism. Like I actually utilize some of the stuff I went to college for, and I take notes, and I'm like, okay, this happened and that happened, and they waited to say this until that came out, and these are the prices and stuff, and it's my favorite time of year. Billions, I don't know, I said billions, but tons of game announcements. I don't know why I said billions, that was so weird. But tons of game announcements, and you get to see all the trailers depending on who's there, which Jeff Keighley had already pulled out, and I normally watch his coverage because they do like actual gameplay demos of a lot of the announcements, which is always one of my favorite things, where you just go to your different spots and it's like they actually get the people there. So not only do you get whatever was on stage, you might actually get something extra. I love that stuff. So I was already disappointed with that when Jeff Keighley was like, he's not going to be at E3. Obviously Sony wasn't there. So it'll be interesting with this, with it officially being canceled as of now. It'll be weird to see how E3 goes in the future in general. So that'll be very interesting. Like, we might get to the point, I mean, especially after this, if it does stay canceled, if things continue the way that they are, we might just get, all directs, which admittedly a lot of people have wanted for a while anyway, because Nintendo does it perfectly fine. I don't mind the stage presence and, the theatrics and stuff. Obviously, one of the greatest E3 moments will always be like, Keanu Reeves came out and no one knew that was going to happen. So, of course, we have those surprise moments, the surprise announcements that happen when things don't get leaked, as long as you don't look into it. I stay away from it all because I'm like, so many leaks happen. I'm like, I don't want to even think about what might happen. I just want to see what they're going to say, because leaks get put out there so easily now. And it's just like, you kind of have to actively stay away from it. If it's not your job, you can stay away from it. But everyone in that industry is like, well, I've heard this and heard that, because like they have to know. So it's like, that almost has to suck a little bit for them, where it's like they don't get to have that surprise that we do, as long as we stay away from it. But it might be a little easier now. It might just be like, you know what, direct from us to you. Here's Sony Direct, Microsoft Direct. Obviously, they'd have to change the names. I mean, Sony already has kind of what they did, because they had the PlayStation experience. Then they stopped doing that, and I was like, well, that sucks, because I loved it, especially because it was so close to the Game Awards. And I was like, that's like two really nice things close together for me. And it was like, oh, well, it sucks. They already, got rid of that. So who knows what Sony is planning at all. But it'll be interesting to see how E3 ends up panning out. If they do decide to kind of bring it back, if things really do die down and everything's good. And they're like, all right, all the events, start picking back up. And they're like, E3's back on. Who's going to be there? Who's going to be like, all right, let's make sure we go back into it. Because even before this, people were pulling out of it. Like Jeff Keighley, he's not Sony, but he's a pretty big name to pull. He's basically the only individual human that matters when it comes to like E3 coverage and stuff like that. Like one singular person being like, I'm not going to be there. Jeff Keighley is like the name where it's like that actually has an impact. If it was someone from a specific company, that would be different, because it might mean a specific game won't be there. But he brought a lot of stuff in. He helped people kind of come together, and it would be, like I said, the extra footage, extra gameplay demos. or second looks, even if it was, the same demo from on stage. But typically you always get something a little bit extra because he's talking directly to the developers and stuff like that. So it was already a big deal. Like, he's stepping out. Sony wasn't there last year either. And it was just weird. So we'll see what, especially if it comes back, we will see what happens, and that'll be interesting. But it might change the game forever. Officially, it might, E3 might be done, which is wild to think. But as long as we still have, we keep it in the time frame, and it can still be good. So that'll be interesting. The other thing, of course, media wise, has been movies. Quiet Place Part 2 got delayed. I didn't care about Fast and Furious, but I did plan on seeing it because the trailer is so ridiculous. I was like, I'm gonna laugh at this, so I was gonna actually see that. So that got delayed. Who knows? We're getting closer and closer. Like, that's the thing. Every time something gets delayed, it means we're just closer to the next thing getting delayed. So it's like, all right, is Black Widow gonna get delayed? Because that comes out in May. I think, or actually, that might be April. Something comes out in April. I want to say it's Black Widow and then Wonder Woman comes out in May. It's something like that. So both of those are fairly close together. And April is like the magical cutoff that everyone has currently. Like, we have schools closed in Michigan. We have like a state of emergency. So K through 12 all closed for like the next 3 weeks. Colleges have pretty much already been closed except for staff. Sorry, guys. So it's been really interesting with that. And then, movies and stuff like that are being delayed, and all this other stuff happening. And it's like, all right, TV shows are also getting delayed. One of the shows I review is Supernatural. It's actually supposed to come back on tomorrow night. And I recently saw something over this weekend, I think it was on Friday actually, that it's getting, like, production is at a standstill now because of the virus. So all of that stuff is in Toronto. For anyone who doesn't watch like Supernatural or any of like the CW DC shows, pretty much all that stuff is in the same spot. Like, CW is basically Vancouver. That's where they film. If they're shut down, if Supernatural is down, that means like every other DC show is shut down. I know for a fact Legends of Tomorrow is also in Vancouver. So the other shows might be in different places, but it's a big spot. Like, Vancouver is big for, not just TV, but movies as well. Like, that's the place to film. So, my actual show, like, it's so weird to think, like, the little things that get affected, because it's like, you just think, all right, TV shows, like, obviously big stuff happens, schools closing, stuff like that. But then once things do calm down, it's really weird how it affects the market. Not just, like the stock market has been the crazy thing, but like TV shows get delayed. So that means whatever's currently in production, whatever like movies are currently being made, those get halted. A great example, admittedly, is the Tom Hanks thing. He was there. I forgot where that was exactly, but him and his wife were there because he was doing a movie. So it was like, that movie's definitely done. I don't think they were finished filming, but either way, they would pause on that. And so it's like, you just have to think all the random little things, like how many movies are currently being filmed that we don't know about. Little stuff like that, or what's just finishing up, like, all right, we're ready to release. Oh, I just remembered what it was. It was New Mutants. That movie can't catch a break. It got delayed from 2017. It was finally supposed to come out in April, and then the virus hit, and it's like, hold on a second, one more break for you. So that'll probably come out. Mulan got delayed. So it's weird, even the little stuff, like I said, going into TV, shows are going to come out, they're going to technically finish like in the summer, and it throws off like the whole, scheduling market for TV shows. Like, there's shows that are supposed to premiere during the summer. They're probably filming now, or at least like writing up drafts for episodes. And I was like, all right, well, that changes so many things, because when you film whatever you're filming, it's set during this specific time, which means it's warm or it's sunny. At the very least, it looks this particular way. When you're in a totally different season, that affects how shows and movies are filmed. And it's just weird little stuff like that. Like, man, what is that going to do to just normal media? Like, talk shows are going to be normal for a little bit. One thing that I recently heard where someone mentioned was like, there'll be talk shows, but they can't have an audience because there's too many people close together. You can have like whoever's hosting the show, or if it's like, The View, there's multiple women, but they can't have a full audience. You can't have that many people just tighten it together like that. And people probably wouldn't want to, even if they were like, yeah, you can if you want to. They probably wouldn't. And they wouldn't show the audience where it's like, ha! And it's just like the one dude in the audience. That's funny. Like, they aren't going to do that. So it's just interesting. Like, what do you do? Like, it's just weird little stuff changes. And, that's why I wanted to do this video, just to talk about how it affects media and, simple stuff where it's like, news works. that's kind of the point. News will always be news. You'll have media. I was gonna say not so much print, but you'll have print media and stuff like that. But when it comes to like production, story based productions, it really changes things. It changes them currently filming. It probably stops people from writing because they know they aren't gonna go into it, you know, nearly as soon as they originally planned. And it's just interesting. It changes schedules. It changes when shows, come back on the air. It changes when shows premiere on air. So many weird things are impacted, by this virus, in the world of media. So that's why I wanted to do this one, just an interesting little take on it, and not just like the sad take, like, oh, it's so crazy. Obviously, I'm not doing the sad video. I never do sad stuff. Even if it's a sad topic, it's me being dumb, or I'm just mad at the dude who didn't freaking wash his hands. That's gross in general. So ridiculous, so insane. But yeah, I wanted to just do this video because I thought it was interesting, like how a pandemic just affects like the things you basically take for granted. Not just like, oh, I have to shop and get food, and that's like the normal thing. This is like a weird version of that. It's not just like, oh, we got a crazy tornado or someone got hit by a tsunami and it wipes out stuff there. This is across the country. This is stopping things, or this is across the world. I mean, it's stopping things in other countries that you would watch here. Stuff like that. It's just very interesting to think about, like the domino effect is the best way to put it. It's the domino effect across the board, how it's going to start. Like, it could even affect comic books, I would imagine, because comic book places typically, when it's drawn, I mean, that I feel like could easily be done from home for the most part. If you have the right people, they probably have setups at home and stuff like that. So that might not be as impacted, but it will be for sales for sure. Same with movies. Like, people aren't going to go to the movies. Same as they probably won't go as often, every single Wednesday. I'm too cheap to actually afford comics, but I believe Wednesday is comic day. But every Wednesday, it might affect people who would go out every single week to be like, all right, new issue of this. Thor has been on a pretty sick run. I don't read the comics, but Comics Explained, I do watch him. Thor's been on a pretty sick run. I don't know what they're doing with Flash right now. It's been pretty interesting. But they're supposed to come out with, seemingly, there's supposed to be a big crossover between Marvel and DC. That probably wasn't happening for a while anyway, but they've been doing some crazy teasing and straight up showing, like, characters and mentioning stuff. And it's going to have an impact on that. It's like, well, do we advertise during these crazy times? Do we talk about this thing? Do we make announcements? Back to video games. We're supposed to have the PlayStation 5, but are we? That's a crazy thing. I think we'll have the Xbox because I feel like they pretty much had that already set. I mean, it's nothing. The Xbox, I feel like they already had that set. They're just like doing their little tweaks, and it's, especially considering that's in-house. By that I mean like in the US. So they'll probably be fine. Specifically here, it might be harder for other countries. But when it comes to like Japan making the PlayStation, or specifically wherever they actually make the PlayStation, things are different now. And it might be harder to get the parts to actually mass produce a brand new console. We might not get the PlayStation 5. We'll get the PlayStation 5. We probably won't get the PlayStation 5 during the launch window that you get new consoles, which is the holiday season. We might not get a new console, and they could literally just be like, we're not going to do it until 2021 because they missed the holiday window. And it's like, we can't F with those analytics because that's how they make money. It's business, regardless of how much we might want it, because, I mean, even me, I would love to know the cost of the PS5 and also what it actually looks like. But I'm not going to get a PS5 day one. Even if it was during the holidays, I wouldn't, because I'm the type of person that waits. I still have a million games I need to play on Steam. I can't be buying new consoles and getting new games right now. So it'll be interesting. They could legitimately just be like, all right, we couldn't launch it during the holiday season. As much as it would suck for the gamers, actually, normal business plan, push it to the next holiday season, because that's when the parents of all the kids who can't buy it themselves are going to have that extra money, and they're going to have their kids begging them for, new consoles. And it's like, all right, Christmas bonus, new console, PS5 or, Xbox. It's not hard to come up with names, is it? But it'll be interesting. We'll just have to wait and see. The world's wild right now. It's really wild. But for now, stay indoors. Be safe, people. Wash your hands even after this is done. You should have been doing it before it was done. If you weren't, you suck. Yeah, that's really it. I would love to know what you guys are thinking. How are things going for you? It's interesting. It's a bit of history right now, and I'm kind of enjoying it, to be honest. I've I don't know. I'm just weird like that. I'm like, you don't see changes in the world like that, you know? Like, this is one of those moments where it's like, it's different. Life is different. It's like, you know, from being in the States, 9/11, different. Everything changed. Everything was different. And it was like, mentally, it was just like, things are done. Things are different now. And that's what's happening right now. It's just in a different sense. So, it's weird. It's very weird to just be like, am I safe? Is it simple? Who do I have to worry about? Is work good? You know, is work good for me? It's an interesting time to be alive. That is for sure. But would love to know your thoughts on everything that's happening. What random things you know might have just come to mind while watching through this very overdrawn video, which is what I do. What little things have been changed for you? What big things have been changed for you currently? What you think might change? I currently still work. We have a lot of people that work from home. I do building operations, so I have to be there on like facilities. So I'm like just walking around. I like wipe surfaces and stuff all day because there's like a dozen people in the building. Especially with the schools closing, more people. You know, there are a lot of parents and stuff. Even more people are staying home because it's like, well, I got the kids. Fortunate, you know, they're at the very least they're fortunate enough to be able to work from home and still make money. But I don't have that. Thank goodness I don't have kids. This would legitimately be like the worst time because I wouldn't know what to do. So that would suck. My sister would probably be, well, I guess she'd be working too, but probably be pawning some kids off on my sister. You know, here's your aunt. Man, that'd be interesting. But fortunately, I don't have to deal with that. I'm just a lonely nerd who doesn't go out much anyway, so hopefully it blows over soon and everybody's just totally safe and back to normal, and then we can get back to arguing about stuff that doesn't matter. So we'll see what happens. But as always, thank you guys for watching. But also, if you guys have any comments, please put them down in the comment section below. And naturally, just be safe out there. Like, don't go crazy. Get food. But, you know, you don't really need that much milk. Just saying. Just saying. But be safe.